And Blavatsky herself says, no doubt you will find mistakes in Isis Unveiled. Well, when she says that, those mistakes have to be corrected. Also to restore the honor of Blavatsky and of her great work, Isis Unveiled. Now, and in doing so, repetition is the best teacher, we have again to point out that Blavatsky had to express herself in a strange foreign language. That showed already a problem when she used the term God. And then the teachings presented in Isis were incomplete. Also concerning the presentation of three principles in humans, in contrary to, in opposition to, and I have to correct myself now, no, not in contrary to, in opposition to, in seemingly contradiction to the later teaching of the sevenfold constitution of man. What was the mistake? She failed to explain that the personality reincarnates. She did that, but without pointing towards the real reincarnation of the immortal monad, timeless, eternal, immortal monad. So she took the monad out, the true being, Tathagata, you could say in case of a liberated Buddha. She did not emphasize that the monad is a true reincarnating entity, and so it led to a disastrous consequence, namely to the thinking of the reader that the ancient teaching, the occult reawakened teaching, denies reincarnation. The most important law in the universe. It reminds me to Einstein, who says, we need no ether. No, Einstein says there is no ether because we don't need it. So this was the problem of Isis Unveiled. When she later said that there's no contradiction, because both referred to the teaching of the master, that already was a problem, because then people said, well, the masters teach there's no reincarnation. I quote Colonel Olcott in his memory work, Old Diary Leaves. And this was disastrous what he wrote. He wrote, during our work on Isis Unveiled, the masters did not teach us reincarnation theory, nor did we talk about it. And this was, of course, a complete misunderstanding. You see, this is the necessity of the Book of Light to correct that, because it's an accusation of the masters. Of course the masters taught reincarnation, but they had to do it step by step, without fully revealing the seven. Yet they taught it, but Blavatsky was not able to correctly confer that into English, and Olcott, who understood little of occult teaching, was caught in the same trap. So they were, you could say, dramatically connected, the masters Blavatsky and Olcott, by karma. it was because she did not speak very well English. Olcott did not understand Aryan philosophy, could not see and understand what she really meant, used terms that she did not really meant, and so forth. We could say, the Book of Light teaches, that in this correction here also, the pages of manuscripts by Isis, they did not go through very willing and very precise hands. See, I look always for words in order not to accuse or to insult anyone. But we can say that those who read the corrections, the lectorate, were not very able. So there were additional mistakes, and the master mentions it in a letter to Blavatsky. When you go to Blavatsky Collected Writings, volume 13, in page 199, you can read, thanks, and that's what the Master Kotomi writes, thanks to, I translate now from German, thanks to the lack of attention of a lectorate, there were some really grave mistakes. For instance, on the first page, the first chapter, in the first volume, it is claimed that the emanation of the divine essence derives from Adam. Derives from Adam. Book of Light teaches Adam Kadmon from Adam. This is wrong, said the Master. Of course it was wrong, because it is exactly the other way around. Adam emanates from the divine essence. There's a world of difference between what was written there by Blavatsky and then what is the truth. Now we could argue, why did the Masters not correct it then? Again, I can emphasize this. Even the highest adept can only do what the Lipika permit. And maybe the Maha Chohan reveals to me that there was a meeting before they contacted Blavatsky, that they said it's too early, it's too early. Well, even a master has to pay the karmic price. Isis had, therefore, erroneous statements who were not then mentioned or could not be discovered while Blavatsky lived. See, Blavatsky used the researches, and she had to research, of literature of her time to support the teachings that she received from her masters. For instance, and now it goes very deep. We talk here about the Jainas. She mentioned Gautama Buddha as student of Mahavira. And in our next lecture we will see that this was wrong, completely wrong, and it also led to the misunderstanding of the teachings of the Buddha that had also to be corrected in the Book of Light, and of course also by a high being who died when I was born in 1945, Mahatera Dr. Georg Grimm, in his great work, The Doctrine of the Buddha.